Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. You are here on the home of the Slightly Above Average Ship Review. Got a match for you in the campaign ship Nottingham. That was the most recent campaign that just wrapped up before the free Christmas campaign. We're on Land of Fire in a domination match. We are top tier. There is one tier 6 cruiser, I think, on each team. All right, so it's a cruiser. It's called the Nottingham. I got to be honest, folks, I didn't have a great time with the Nottingham until this match because I said to myself, what would make the Nottingham even more awesome? And that's right, you can see the legendary skill up on the screen. I did a special meme build using Reginald Tyrwhitt as the commander, and I honestly believe if I get good spotting, and that's really key to this build, I think, is good spotting. So, especially strong, I think, in division play, where your division mate is in a destroyer. I have Jack Ape in front of me, and he's not really going to do a great job of spotting, but he doesn't know what I'm doing. He doesn't know how OP my ship is. Here's the first target. We are going to initiate our first smoke screen. As you can see, it takes 10 or 11 seconds to deploy. And then we have Smogathon going, along with some other stuff. And so the smoke screen will last for 33 seconds. Or, pardon me, the smoke screen will last for about 10 seconds longer than our reload. So as long as Peter Baggs is spotted, I will be able to farm damage. Or, let me phrase it another way, as long as your teammates spot any other ship, which I already have the idea that, what's his name? Our destroyer commander, he doesn't know what he's doing because he ran away from the cap and hid behind his own smoke screen. So, this is not going to go as well as I hoped, and I know that already in the match. But as long as we have an enemy spotted, we can live inside of a smoke screen. Now here I was like, could somebody please spot? Because we were getting spots on the Amagi. But my teammates, again, we've established the destroyer is not going to be... And I'm not even asking him to attack anybody. I just want him to spot the enemy. And I don't use a microphone. I'm not going to bother sending him a text message. This is just the current meta where destroyers fight from the rear because they're too scared to go forward. Now, granted, he shouldn't push into the cap. All the enemy ships are over there. He would die. But I'm not asking him to do that. I'm just asking him to spot the enemy. And he is not doing that. He's hiding behind an island right now. Just out of view to the right. So, when the Peter Baggs or another ship becomes available, we will engage another smoke screen. Now, this is how desperate I am because he's just not doing anything. I'm going to back up here eventually and turn my turrets to aim at another ship. So while we're doing that, why don't we talk about the history of the Nottingham? The Nottingham is a ship drawn on a napkin, one of 3 designs of cruisers that naval architect George Thurston proposed in his essay, quote, "The Influence of the Washington Conference on Naval Design," unquote. The proposed design was to adhere to the 10,000-ton limit stated in the Washington Naval Treaty, have 9 8-inch guns, all placed forward of the superstructure in 3 triple turrets, and maintain a top speed of 34 knots. Eventually, I would call this maybe like the... oh God, I'm not going to remember the name of the ship. It's like a Nelson, just a cruiser. You know, the cruiser version of Nelson. All right, so we are farming damage from BA turrets, setting fires, getting cap defended flags. So I went down the rabbit hole of George Thurston. Looked at Brassey's Naval and Shipping Annual. That's where I got the schematic you see in the title card. Then I went to the Wikipedia page talking about Mr. Thurston, George Thurston, who was born Thomas Owens, by the way. Basically, he said the same thing. But in the article, it also mentioned another ship he worked on, the dreadnought battleship Erin. So I clicked on that. And Erin was ordered by the Ottoman Empire in June of 1911, 2.5 million pounds. Basically, they went door to door at schools and stuff, collecting from widows and little kids to crowdfund this yacht, this battleship. And right before, because of World War One, Britain was like, "Nah, we're not going to let you have this," and they were really upset. But of course, they also, in theory, exposed a kind of alliance plot deal between Turkey and Germany. All right, we got another hand job medal there. Again, just my kingdom for a spot, anything for a spot, crying out for a spot. We have 2 smoke screens remaining in about 20 seconds of this one, and no one is willing to do any spotting. This battleship behind me is hiding behind my smoke screen, in a manner of speaking, so he is not willing to spot, and the destroyer got himself killed because he's not very good. So as long as it can be spotted by someone else, I can shoot at it, and that's what I am doing as we engage another smokescreen. So yeah, I think basically what it amounts to is you can spend 7 minutes and maybe almost 8 minutes in smoke if you time it out one after the other. I'm comfortable saying 7 to 8 minutes in a smokescreen. Eventually, you're going to have to leave the smokescreen, mostly because your teammates, unless they're also in your division, are dumb and won't spot for you, but occasionally because you run out of smoke screens. And then you have to play this thing like a regular ship and avoid showing your broadside. You're going to see the Citadel and you're going to rip your eyes out in horror. That's how bad the ship design is. But as long as you're safely hidden in your beautiful smoke screen, you can do stuff like this and just farm damage from enemies who literally can do nothing to stop you unless they have some long-range radar. All right, while we continue to fight this battle, I'm really interested in the story of the Erin, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Erin. First of all, let's talk about the Erin's armament. 5 twin 343 millimeter guns. Then it had 16 152 millimeter guns, 6 57 millimeter guns, 4 355 millimeter torpedo tubes. So cool. The bad part, maximum speed 21 knots. That's the intended maximum speed. The cruising speed was only 10 knots. Armor belt 305 millimeters. The decks range between 25 and 76 millimeters of armor. Turrets 11 inches / 279 millimeters, and the barbettes 245 millimeters. So, an interesting ship. I'm not saying we need it in the game wargaming. It looks like it's pretty heavily armored. Anyway, the Erin was never given up by Britain. It was retained as a training ship, and then eventually broken up in Queensboro in 1923. All right, so here we are at the end of the game. We get our first kill by burning down an Amagi. We got a Peter Baggs over there who's kind of running away. Don't show broadside to Peter Baggs, kids. I did that in the match prior to this one. It was ugly. Yeah, see that? He damaged my torpedo launcher. How dare you? We are going to shield ourselves from Peter Baggs with this island because we have a much better target. And A.L. Zara, who I was hoping would come give me the full broadside. But A.L. Zara didn't do that. I turned to get all 3 turrets on target. I loaded up the armor piercing, and A.L. Zara immediately went into a smoke screen. So he or she must have known the fate that awaited him. Death by Nottingham. Oh, look at that. Peeking over the island, ladies and gents. It's the aircraft carrier. Hello, Lexington. I will have words with you later. All right, AL Zara is running away. We're going to back up and we're going to give ourselves the full broadside. AL Zara is probably going to be dead. It is dead before we can get shots out, but I'm still turning because I know the aircraft carrier is virtually defenseless against my charms. And we didn't get to use the torpedoes in this match, so that is a shame, but it is just how things happened. All right, so we are now firing upon the Lexington. Look at that beautiful HE damage, 9 pens. Gotta love it. We are just continuing to fire because the rock is safely between us and Peter Baggs, who is dead. That maybe didn't do as great of a damage as I had hoped. Maybe some shells went to the flight deck. We're ignoring the torpedoes. We get some more damage there. 8 more main battery hits. We set him on fire. They're trying to kill pinch my precious. And we are going to get another really nice salvo in there. And it is going to finish off the Lexington. Gotta love the honk noise to finish it off. All right, so for me, I'm going to call this a great match. Here we are on the victory screen, 97,923 total damage. I'll just say this, if we had consistent spotting throughout our orgy of smoke screens, we definitely would have had over 100,000 damage. 136 main battery hits, 3 hand job medals, 2 kills, 8 fires, 3 cap defended flags, and 1 assisted base cap. We ended up with 623,285 silver, 8,700 ship XP, 16,600 commander XP in the Nottingham, helmed by Reginald Tyrwhitt. All right, let's take a look at the team results, please, if you please. Well, if we'd only had the Friesland on our side of the map, we finished number 2 behind the Friesland, 2485 base XP and 2 kills. Unfortunately, Jack Ape did not help us really a lot. All right, so I'm going to consider that just short of a good game. All right, let's go back to the port and take a look at the ship after a brief message from Wargaming. Here we are in the Nottingham, taking a look at the mods. Aiming system mod 1. Steering gears mod 2. Concealment system mod 1. I was going to say 3. What's concealment system mod 3? The blanket. Gunfire control system mod 2. That's just my choices. You can choose whatever you want. You got HE, AP, and regular torpedoes. Unlimited charges of the damage control party. 2 charges of just a regular plain Jane repair party. 7 charges of the smoke generator, each lasting 11.6 seconds and taking 43.2 seconds to disperse with a 33.2 second reload. So yes, very nutritious and delicious and really a key for this build. I said, man, I think I could just throw up a constant smoke screen for about half of the match. So I think you can. Again, really dependent on good spotting. So get into a division with a destroyer player who isn't going to do you dirty. Perhaps a Japanese destroyer or a pan-European. All right, 2 charges of short-range sonar. We're using all the epic flags with the exception of the rare battle booster for movement speed and cooldown time. The Type 9 permanent camouflage, and the Captain Reader flag awarded to brave souls who actually read the patch notes. I read the patch notes. 35,300 hit points with our build, a 7% torpedo damage reduction, a 37% fire resistance. All right, you got 3 triple 203 millimeter turrets, 17.3 kilometer firing range, up from 15.6, 13 second reload, 22.5 second turn time. Shell grouping value of 2. Dispersion all slightly better. Maximum HE shell damage 2850. 15% fire chance. And pens 34 millimeters of armor. AP shells do a max 4,500 damage. Pens 403 millimeters of armor at point blank range. 138 millimeters of armor at max range. And I think we already know the arming threshold is 34 millimeters, and that is true. All right, moving on to the secondary armament, 8 individual 102 millimeter guns, firing range 5.2 kilometers, reload every 4 seconds, shell grouping value of 1, dispersion all slightly better. HE shells do a max 1,500 damage with a 6% fire chance, and they pen 17 millimeters of armor. All right, 4 quad launchers, firing range 9.3 kilometers, 66 knots. They reload in 81.6 seconds. I'm so used to talking about incendiary torpedoes, I went way too fast there. Max damage 14,532 with our build. 1.3, aka 1,300 meters detectability range, and 207 meters to arm the torpedoes. Something you shouldn't do is invest anything into AA, or AA sucks. All right, I forgot to mention, you could switch out your sonar for the DFAA. I don't know why you would do that, because your AA sucks. It is really terrible. Your best AA is these 40 millimeter Mark 7 guns that do 120 damage per second. Your secondaries are dual purpose, but they just do 38 damage per second and a piddly range of 3.5 kilometers. Maneuverability 33.5 knots in the water with the speed boost flag, 700 meter turning circle, 7-second rudder shift time. Concealment 8.9 on the surface, 6 kilometers from the air, 6.6 kilometers when firing from smoke. As a testament to how bad I am in cruisers, we have a 56% winning percentage, a really pitiful 38 main battery accuracy, 6% torpedo accuracy. We're averaging 0.4 of 1 kill per match and 46k damage. Clearly, our last match was our best match, so if you're like me and you hate cruisers, make them entertaining at least by using this build on the Nottingham. Take a look at the armor viewer. Thanks to these stupid ports that really ruin the angles of the armor and looking at them critically. This is just so dumb, Wargaming. Fuck you and your special port. Anyway, this is a gigantic above water citadel, leading me to believe this is the cruiser version of the Nelson. We're going to put the bow on. You've got a 30 millimeter bow. Congratulations. Your side plating is 35 millimeters, may offer a type of spaced armor effect, but I wouldn't count on that. This thing gets raked when it's broadside. There's the 3 turrets. The turrets are slightly sloped towards the top, but they don't offer any real substantial armor protection. That being said, I haven't had a turret destroyed since I've been playing the Nottingham. And that is a look at the armor viewer and this really dumb port. Wargaming, you're stupid. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Overview, blah, 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 whatever. Don't do sequential torpedoes in this thing unless you're about to torp somebody coming around an island and you don't want to miss. All right, Reginald Tyrwhitt, the commander, preset 3 for cruisers. We've got True Grit, a slight decrease in the torpedo launcher reload time, and a bigger increase in the steering gear impairment chance. Inspired by Genichi Mikawa for concealment and Nikolai Kuznetsov for main battery range. In row number 1, subsurface venture, a increase in torpedo speed, a decrease in reload time, and the minus does not apply because we are not in a destroyer. One would look at me now in row 2, mostly because fragile threat involves a minus to hit points, so we're only going positives. Row 3, torpedo safari plus 16% torpedo range. The minus does not apply because we are not in a destroyer. Ha ha ha. Row number 4, smoke on the water, destroyer be destroyed, is not applicable to cruisers anyway, so don't use that. And the legendary skill Smogathon. 50% decrease in the smoke generator cooldown time, 50% decrease in the smoke screen deployment time, 2 extra smoke screen charges, and your torpedoes go 10 knots faster when an allied ship is within 3.5 kilometers. So whether this is the build for you or not, I don't know, but I made it entertaining for me. All right, so that is the Nottingham, ladies and gentlemen. Would love to hear your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you next time.